homies! My name is Taylor Reid, and you are about to come along for my latest ridiculous adventure. If you're new here, well, hello, welcome. It's wonderful to have you. Don't forget to go ahead and click that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my awesome content. If you're a returning subscriber, I'm honestly still just thrilled that I haven't scared you away yet. Keyword being yet. Because let me tell ya, it's bound to happen eventually. For whatever reason, I've been getting a lot of the same question lately.
Excuse me, do you have the time? Excuse me, dear, do you have the time?
The time?
The time.
To which I respond,
It's Corona time.
to give people a little more insight into what
Corona time.
actually means, I interviewed 2 nurses to tell us a little bit about what life is like battling coronavirus from the front lines.
So my name is KP Mendoza. I am an ICU nurse. I work in the surgical and transplant ICUs over at Mount Sinai on the Upper East Side here in Manhattan, New York.
My name is Julia. I am currently working as a float pool registered nurse at Lutheran General Hospital in Park Ridge, Advocate Aurora Lutheran General Hospital.
The mental health component has been difficult because to start working in this environment knowing that I am not being protected is a little bit traumatizing, right? And on top of that, I've seen people die. People have said to me, oh, you should be used to death. I am in a way. I am used to death, as much as I hate to say that. At 24, I am used to seeing people die, just not at this rate and not in this way. Let's remember that I signed up knowing that I'm putting my health at risk. I acknowledge that, will I have to take care of a tuberculosis patient? Yeah. Was there always the looming risk of a pandemic? Yeah. Clearly, I did not think that this was going to happen. But the point I really want to harp is that I never thought I'd have to work in a pandemic in the situation that it is. It's not like Grey's Anatomy or other healthcare shows.
It's not like Grey's Anatomy? You're lying.
About to go wow wow.
Tell me 3 doctors who would get my patient out of bed, because that is a scene from Grey's Anatomy, and that is the biggest lie ever. Because you'll never find, maybe a doctor, but 3 doctors helping the patient walk? No. The most important thing to note is that a lot of our ratios in New York specifically have gone up. That's not true for all ICUs across the country. Mm-hmm. There actually is not a law. There is not a law that dictates how many patients a nurse can get. If I was actually thrust with the responsibility of taking care of 3 patients outside of this pandemic, I would have had to file a form called a POA, or a protest of assignment, and that's a common form that nurses use. If there's ever a condition that is unsafe or that makes you feel like you won't be able to give the care that you normally would, that is a circumstance which is extenuating, you would file this form. In cases of natural disasters or mass casualties, we kind of accept the fact that this might be the case. So I did not file a protest of assignment when I had 3 patients. I still love my hospital for doing what it does, because I have still so much of a better situation compared to a lot of outer borough hospitals. What I had was still nothing compared to the hospitals in the Bronx, in Queens, in Brooklyn. They took care of 5 patients or 6 patients sometimes. So I think that there still could have been more policies governmentally to ensure that how we took care of these patients was safer, like giving us more PPE, or if we're going from room to room, making sure we don't have to put on and take off PPE all the time. PPE being personal protective equipment.
I didn't expect any of this to, happen coming right out of school. It's been difficult, but it's the transition. I was working enough on my own out of orientation to know how to be a nurse on my own before the pandemic hit. So
well, that's good for you and for your patients.
Yeah. It's also definitely made me a lot more organized, because I have to, because we're conserving our PPE now, I have to go into rooms with the same stuff on. So I have to have literally all of my patients know everything that's going on all right at the beginning of the shift, so that I can do all of my stuff as I go into their rooms back to back to back. We have to go to our charge nurses now for literally everything. Gloves, gowns, masks. They take my temperature every time I walk in the hospital, and they hand me a surgical mask that I have to wear for my entire shift.
Skirt! Sorry, did you hear that? Let's go back and check that again.
They hand me a surgical mask that I have to wear for my entire shift.
Now let's go ahead and check on the general public.
Stillwater, Oklahoma, an emergency proclamation requiring the use of face masks in stores and restaurants was amended after reports employees were being verbally abused and threatened with violence for trying to enforce the order.
In Miami Beach, one park is now shut down after police issued more than 7,000 warnings over the weekend to people not wearing face masks.
In Michigan, a security guard was shot after a dispute with a customer over a face mask.
Police are also looking for this man who wiped his nose on a clerk's shirt when he was asked why he wasn't wearing a face covering.
I get one N95 mask for my shift, and then we're turning them in at the end of our shifts, and then they're going to go to like this sanitation place and they're going to sanitize them and then bring them back.
Send them back?
Yeah.
Because America's super poor and
because we have no resources.
We're like really underprivileged in this world, so I really can understand why our citizens are suffering.
No, there was a tweet out there that was like, America's a third world country in a Gucci belt. And this is it.
Like, I've never seen a more accurate description of our country, I swear to God. And it just baffles me.
I actually did not get tested through my job. I got tested through my primary care provider, who is still working for Mount Sinai. It's all under Mount Sinai.
Okay.
But the avenue with which I went to do it was through my own primary care physician.
If you come to the hospital, like, even if you have no symptoms, they're still going to test you. But like, called my doctor. I was like, listen, I'm on the COVID unit. I don't have a fever, but I do have a cough and like I have a runny nose. Like, I'm not eating. And they called me back. They're like, yeah, just monitor your symptoms.
You can monitor this fist. What the hell does that mean?
Cool. Like,
first of all, I don't know if you know this. I don't know people who are watching this even know this, but we don't produce PPE in this country for majority of it. We import a lot of it from China.
Oh!
China.
Yeah, so that's when I learned that when I was looking at more about why don't we have enough PPE, I was like, where does this all come from? These are all questions that we don't really care for because as healthcare workers, these things just appear.
my friend, she works in St. Louis. In her hospital, it was like, oh yeah, we've run out of gowns. You have to start wearing the patient gowns into people's rooms. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No.
Like, those are not antimicrobial. Like, those are not protective. Why aren't we going to Hefty or whatever, like, and saying, hey, can you just add sleeves to your garbage bags?
Hefty.
It's just a matter of, like, we have to guide the people to do the right things, and no one is doing anything to help. Like, oh, we aren't opening up these factories, but let's open up, so we can get our ground beef. I want my steak dinner.
Right.
Who gives a hoot about, our masks?
Where are the masks going? Are they going out the back door?
Were you suggesting there has been inappropriate use of masks or improper conduct with supplies?
No, I want the people in New York to check, Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, that when a hospital that's getting 10,000 masks goes to 300,000 masks during the same period, people should check that because there's something going on. It's not. I don't think it's hoarding. I think it's maybe worse than hoarding, but check it out. Check it out. I don't know. I think that's for other people to figure out.
I wish I was just stealing products left and right. Our masks are kept. I mean, this is not even half as bad as other hospitals. I heard some hospitals are locking them in they're called the Pyxis, which is basically the med storage container that nurses pull from. So some nurses have their masks locked there, which I think is obscene and absurd. Mine is just kept with the business clerk, which is good, so at least someone's always watching the stash, but we're not selling anything, and I think that's a terrible accusation to make when we don't even have enough PPE to cover ourselves. We, the people of the United States, can only do so much for ourselves until we look to the government, and that's the purpose of government.
You shouldn't have to Google or research 15 different things to find out valid information. I should be able to watch one press conference on television from our president and know exactly what to do. Speaking of press conferences, let's talk about that for a second.
According to new research conducted by US government scientists, sunlight, heat and humidity dramatically reduce the life of coronavirus in the air and on hard surfaces. The scientists said it acted as a powerful disinfectant. And that led the president to muse on whether disinfectant could be used inside the human body to kill the virus.
And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs, so it'd be interesting to check that.
The president's chief medical advisor looked as though she'd have liked Harry Potter's cloak of invisibility.
In a minute.
I think that like somewhere around here, like we know we have like a medical kit or something. So I believe that I do own a syringe. Should I inject myself with Lysol or potentially a UV light?
I will say there's truth to that in the sense of if you have the bacteria on your skin and there's UV light like shining on you, it will kill the virus. However, if it's tanning. Yeah, like tanning, which is also going to cause cancer if you don't wear proper sunscreen.
So I mean, but it's like a Sophie's choice. Either I'll get melanoma or coronavirus.
Yeah.
This message came after President Trump floated the idea of injecting disinfectant as a possible treatment to look into. The White House issued a statement this morning accusing the media of taking President Trump's comments out of context.
Please do not drink, eat, inject, consume in any form of household cleaner. Please do not think that tanning beds are the solution. And remember that a metal surface or any physical object that is inanimate that you can clean with bleach or any disinfectant is not representative of the cells that are in your body.
It's wild. Like the uncertainty of everything is just, I think, what's stressing everyone out in the hospital the most. If everything opened up tomorrow, it would just be insane. Like
people don't know how to act.
Exactly. And like I think that exactly. I would think twice about walking into a crowded bar, right now.
We'll open any of your social media feeds this weekend and you'll likely see this: viral videos of people packed into pools and bars at the Lake of the Ozarks for the weekend. Clearly not 6 feet of distance between many of those folks. And now the actions of these partiers and the places that hosted them is drawing national attention and harsh words from local leaders.
Having a patchwork policy here, having some states where it's stay at home and some places where it's not, it's like having a pool where there's one section in the pool where it's okay to pee.
Coronavirus!
I think that it depends on what happens in the country, what happens from here on out. Like, it's a stressful time for everyone, and we can't freak out about everything that's going on because we have to hunker down and adapt.
How can people help? It's by realizing the faults of our society, and not say that on a grandiose scale, but like you going out and voting matters. You having those ugly, like I said, those ugly conversations with older relatives or relatives who live farther from cities who may not have as wide of a view as you. Those are all the things that are important. That's how you can help, is by advocating for healthcare workers, by believing us when we say that this is not just a flu, and just having some faith in the people who you know are doing the work.
Appreciate all of your insight, and I'm glad that you've been able to transition somewhat flawlessly from your school life to your global pandemic life.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me chat. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to hopefully see you one day somewhere else in the world. So,
and hopefully with no mask. Hashtag mask off.
With no mask.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed it, and keep in mind that as our bars and clubs and restaurants and cities and the world reopens, stay smart, stay safe, keep a social distance, don't make out with 30 randos at the bar. I'm really talking to myself on that one. Stay safe and sane out there, homies, and I'll catch you for our next ridiculous adventure.